Alright, ako magandang gabi sa inyo mga ka-tribu and ako po ulit si Nikki Viola with my partner na si Lyndon Mendoza at nandito na naman po tayo sa isang masayang kwentuhan at kulitan kasama ang inyong mga paboritong sports heroes and idols. Welcome to another fun and exciting episode of the Athletes Tribune. So ngayon po ay napapanood tayo via Tribune Facebook page, the Tribune Now YouTube channel at sa Tribune website tribune.net.ph. Alright, so, Lyndon, hello dyan. Good morning.
Hello.
Good evening.
Damang mo na ba ang simoy ng Pasko, di ba? Malapit na.
Yes.
12 days na lang, Pasko na, Nikki.
True, ikaw na-feel mo na ba
Yes.
ang Christmas spirit?
Medyo lumalamig na ang mga eksena. Okay, di ba?
Ayan, so I think, speaking of eksena, no, Lyndon, parang ngayon kasi nag-tone down na rin, alert na tayo. As in, I think napag-usapan natin to last episode. So, may mga challenges na ngayon dun sa pagpunta sa mall sa ganitong panahon, especially nagbalik na yung traffic, which is medyo sakit siya sa ulo. Ikaw ba, naka-experience ka rin ng medyo malalang traffic nowadays?
O naman, Miss Nikki, parang kumbaga, di ba yun na nga, rush hour, tapos sakto ka pa sa madaming tao. Kasi tapos, yung iba nating mga kabayan, di ba parang, rush silang pumunta ng mall, na-miss nila yung pumunta doon, di ba? Tapos bilang yung mga bagets, pwede na pumunta ng mall. So, sinasama nila, kaya sobrang dami talagang tao sa mall. Pero, okay na din, pero, mga katribu, hinay-hinay pa din. Kailangan natin sundin ang safety protocol.
Kalmahan lang, di ba? Pero ako, Lyndon, may tanong pala ako sa'yo. Nagdadrive ka ba?
Nikki, more on ako eh. Yung angkas lang.
Wow! Motor pala. Mas
Kasi
sanay ka
mindset
sa,
ko,
sa motor kasi sa car. Ayun, kasi parang ako napapaisip lang, kasi ako hindi talaga ako marunong mag-drive. And I always wonder, ano kaya ang feeling ng, halimbawa, walang traffic, di ba? Tapos, syempre, ako may mga kakilala ako pag walang traffic, feeling nila racer sila kung makapag-drive talaga sa mga walang tao, eh, no? So, ikaw ba medyo naiisip mo rin yon?
For me, oo. Parang gusto ko rin gano'ng eksena. Parang, di ba? Parang, iwan ko kayo. Parang ganon, di ba? Pero syempre, pag medyo may kabay pag sobrang bilis na, di ba? Pero ayoko yung nagda-drive talaga. Pero mas okay sa akin yung angkas lang sa tabi lang ng driver.
Wow.
Para hindi na
Passenger. Mas okay ka ng passenger ka. Ganon. Ayan. Pero alam mo, Lyndon, ako may mga kakilala ko na parang, kasi alam mo, if I think if nanonood ka ng Fast and the Furious or mga F1 sa Netflix, talagang marami akong kilalang racing fans. And minsan nga pag nagkakakwentuhan kami, parang every time nanonood sila ng gano'n, minsan, alam mo yung bigay na bigay sila or talagang nadadala sila dun sa mga napapanood ng race car drivers and nadadala nila yun sa pagdadrive nila. Pag walang tao, feeling nila racer na racer sila. Kasi meron naman talagang sport for that and talagang booming yung racing na dito sa Philippines. Kaya nga, ito, ang guest natin today ay isa sa pinakakilala sa field na ito dito sa Pilipinas. Isa siyang multi-awarded race car driver and of course, Tuason Racing's CEO and a founder na Lyndon. Pakilala na natin, hindi na po natin patatagalin pa. Let's give it up for Mr. JP Tuason. Hi, Sir JP!
Hi guys, good evening. Hi Lyndon. Hi Nikki.
Hi, ayun na Miss Nikki.
Hello po.
Oo.
Ayan.
Alam mo ba itong guest for today, si Sir JP, is sa car racer, di ba?
Yes. Ayan, so sige, umpisahan na natin to, Lyndon. For sure, yung mga viewers natin gusto nilang mas makilala pa si Sir JP, di ba?
Yeah, but before we get started, alam mo na nakikinig ako sa kwentuhan niyo kanina.
Okay,
and I just wanted to share na nasa mall din ako kahapon.
Okay, so kamusta ang experience sa mall ngayon?
Medyo crazy, sobrang daming tao. Alam mo yung hindi ka na makapark, diba? Parang bumalik na sa dati. Sobrang daming tao. Wala na masyadong social distancing and everybody's out and about. So I just wanted to say that agree ako sa sinabi nyo na, yes, alert level 2 tayo, nakakalabas na tayo ngayon, but I think kailangan alalahanin pa ng mga tao na may virus pa rin dyan. We have to be safe. So I wanted to give you guys a tip, right?
Okay.
Before we get started with motorsports, that in these times na nakakalabas na tayo sa bahay and we're learning to live with the virus, right, in our everyday lives. Just remember that we don't want to bring the virus home. Try to disinfect not only yourselves, but also the cars that you drive pag uwi niya. Try to wipe all the different touch points in the car para yung susunod na gagamit, diba? Medyo safe siya. You know, don't go out and bring the virus home with you. Make sure you disinfect your cars when you go home.
Alright, so we'll keep that in mind, sir, no? Especially sa talagang, for sure most of our viewers are driving because they have their own cars. So kailangan i-keep in mind natin yan because safety is still a top priority. Lyndon.
Definitely.
So ayun na nga,
Yes, sir.
mga katibu, di ba, narinig natin kay Sir JP na kailangan hindi lang sa mall or sa bahay, pati yung mga
Yes.
natin, basta lahat ng mga nahawakan natin, kailangan natin disinfect kasi hindi lang naman tayong gagamit. Okay, Sir JP, eto na, usapang ano na tayo, kung ano yung passion mo, di ba? When and how did you start your racing career?
Well, I started racing back when I was 13 years old. I started racing with my dad. Yung dad ko kasi was a champion race car driver. And I was always fascinated sa ginagawa niya. So, sabi ko sa dad ko, Dad, paano ba mag-start sa racing? So, yung ginawa ng dad ko is he took me to the racetrack and we started by driving go-karts. Ito yung pinaka parang basic ng motorsports, no? Especially for kids. So, we started racing go-karts together and we probably did this together for about 4 or 5 years. And dito talaga ako natuto. Dito ko na-hone yung skills ko in terms of driving. I participated in yung local race series natin. And after 2 years, naging what they call Carter of the Year for the entry-level classes. And that's really what started my career, these go-kart races. And as I progressed through the different race series, I eventually represented the Philippines in the international championships for the Rotax Max in Egypt, in Japan for the FIA World Championships, and from there I moved on to start racing cars. At that time, it was the Siyempre, na-date tuloy ako. This was the early 90s, right? So, this is early 90s. Nandun pa yung racetrack sa Subic. Yung dating airport, ginawang racetrack ng Ramirez family. So, I moved on with my dad to race cars. And at that time, I was probably about 18, 19 years old. So, we were racing cars together. And it was a great experience talaga because I was racing with my dad. I was learning a lot from him. And it was also yung time namin na mag-bond together. It was at this time also na-realize ko talaga that for me, motorsports had not only become part of my life, no, dahil it was part of our family's tradition, but also it was going to be a career path for me. Gusto ko talaga maging part of yung industry ng motorsports. So yeah, that's how I got started by racing with my dad, and it was great because I got to learn from the best.
Right. And speaking of learning from the best, which is your father, sir, ano po ba yung mga natutunan ninyo with your dad upon racing then with him the whole time?
So one of the things my dad always used to tell me was, to finish first, you have to first finish. And this was because nung bata ako, palagi akong mainit ako mag-drive, right? And you hear this a lot from yung mga nagkakarera sa kalye. So mainit ako mag-drive sa racetrack, and I would always end up getting into accidents. And what he always meant about this saying was, kailangan mag-concentrate muna ako na tapusin ko yung karera before I can concentrate on becoming first. So I learned a lot of other things from my dad, but this is the one thing that really stuck out in my mind. Talagang kailangan mag-concentrate ka na tapusin yung karera kasi mahaba siya eh. It's a lot longer than you think, no? So one race can be 30 minutes long, pero dun sa 30 minutes, minsan sa first lap gustong mauna ka na, and then pag na-aksidente ka, then yung buong karera mo sira. So that was really one of the best things that my dad imparted to me, to understand that you have to try to play the long game in terms of winning races.
Yes, the long game more than the shortcut, diba, sir? I think it's better to na i-savor nyo rin yung journey all throughout that kasi magmadali ka in finishing the race.
Yes.
Correct. That's exactly it. You should be a race car driver.
Parang nakaka...
Sana nga, sir.
Pwede.
Pwede. Anyway, okay, Lyndon, may tanong po si Lyndon sa inyo, sir.
Parang kumbaga parang sa sinabi ni sir, parang nakaka-happy lang din, di ba? Parang yung passion mo ginagawa mo, kasama mo yung dad mo, parang supportado ka niya sa ginagawa mo. Kaya nakaka-inspire din. Parang kumbaga, wala masyadong pressure. At the same time, inspire ka sa ginagawa mong sport. Okay, Sir JP.
Well, I think just to add to that, I think it was great in the beginning when I was young, but when I turned 20, my dad passed away very, very suddenly. So yung inspiration ko and yung sponsor ko sa karera biglang nawala. So as I said, I realized I wanted to be involved in this sport for a long time. I actually had to find my own way when I turned 20 to stay in motorsports. And this is where the basis for yung company namin, Tuason Racing, really began. Not only did we want to continue motorsport and racing, pero I realized na hindi pwedeng puro palabas lang yung pera na gumagastos ako para sa enjoyment ko or for my career in racing. But it also became the pathway for us to start our business, which was Tuason Racing, which was to help other people get involved in motorsport as well.
So ayun na nga, Sir JP, syempre hindi natin maiwasan, di ba? What are the challenges that you have encountered during the racing journey?
Okay.
Sorry, Lyndon, can you say that one more time?
Okay,
what were the challenges?
What are the challenges that you have encountered during racing journey?
During my career in motorsport, we had a lot of challenges, and one of the biggest ones was raising funds, right, to be able to continue motorsports. Motorsports is it's expensive. It takes a lot of sponsorship to be able to to stay in motorsports, and to raise the sponsorship. What I did was I approached a lot of the corporate partners that I had contacts with, a lot of the friends that my father had in the industry, and I was lucky enough to get my very, very first sponsor was Shell. So Shell and Tag Heuer in my early motorsports career really helped get me involved in higher level motorsports. So we went from driving touring cars with my dad, and after my dad passed away, I was able to raise some sponsorship to move up the ladder into what we call single seaters or formula cars. So when I moved up to that level, I really was able to not only expose myself to the corporate sponsors, but we also did a lot of traveling around Asia to participate in the races. And what I learned in those years, again, we were able to take back with us and incorporate dito sa negosyo namin, which is now organizing high-level local motorsports events.
Okay, so with those challenges, did it ever come to a point that you don't want to pursue this career anymore? You don't want to do this? Umabot ba kayo sa point na gano'n? Though
Yes.
being here and working with you, sir, sa totoo lang, honestly, working with you for how many months already, sir, parang hindi ko nakita na, si Sir JP, hindi niya to i-give up yung ganung dream. But, sinagot ko po is yes.
Yes. You know, like just like anybody else that's been involved in sports, there have been times na sa sobrang hirap niya, no? It's been very difficult to raise money sometimes, especially in the years where there were financial crisis. So this was like in 2009, 2010. It was very, very difficult. And we were always at that crossroads at the end of a season, whether we would continue on or not with motorsports. So I think for us, our one of the things that I learned from racing was to never give up, to always try to push forward, and because you just never know what will happen in the races, right? So the races are 30 minutes. They're again 30 minutes long. There's 15 laps in the race, and if you give up in the middle of the race, you just never know. There could be a opportunity to win at the end because of other people making mistakes. So sort of that drive to always try to complete the race is something that has driven me to try to move our business in terms of Tuason Racing forward as well. To answer that question, yes, many difficult times. A lot of times where it's been financial, and after 22 years, we're still here with Tuason Racing, and at the moment we're very happy. We're growing both the Vios Cup, which we run for Toyota Motors Philippines, and of course our Formula V1 races, which are happening this weekend, and hopefully you guys can check it out on December 15th.
All right, so sir, with that, syempre, no, we have things to look forward to talaga with Tuason Racing. But yeah, Lyndon, may follow-up question ka ba?
Parang may gusto lang ako sabihin sa senior ni Sir JP. Ayun nga, di ba, parang dumating yung mga trials and challenges sa buhay niya. Pero ang maganda pa din is nagpapatuloy. Parang yung sports niya, di ba, racing, di ba? May time, specific time na kailangan mo ma-reach yung end. Pero, Sir JP, what are your motivations to keep going?
Ay, gusto ko to. Magaling si Sir dito.
So for us, I think it's best to put it into context for you guys. So yung company namin, yung Tuason Racing, has been around for 22 years, and yung purpose talaga ng kumpanya namin is to make dreams come true for our clients, our students, and our employees, right? So for us, we believe that yung ginagawa namin is growing yung local motorsports by creating world-class races. And yung mga sumasali sa karera namin, not only are they honing their skills, natututo sila na share namin yung motorsports sa kanila, pero we're trying to create that career path para maging international racing superstar sila. So, the champion of yung race series namin, the Formula V1 races, at the end of every season, we take the winners and we let them race in Japan. So dinadala namin sa international racetrack, sa F1 racetrack sa Japan, para magkaroon sila ng exposure sa tunay na international level na karera. And by doing this, we hope that we can develop our local industry, our local motorsports, and our local talents.
Wow. So nice, sir. Siyempre, parang kumbaga dinedevelop niya na yung sports, tapos nagde-develop din kayo ng tao. Parang kung gusto niyo ibang kalibre yung mga gustong pumasok sa sports na to. Okay, Miss Nikki, ikaw na.
Yes, Lynn, actually, you will be surprised na talagang ang dami rin talagang aspiring racers in the country, and it's really amazing to watch their journey through our Formula V1 races and even in the Vios Cup. So talagang nakakaalo siya panoorin. So Lyndon, you have to try watching our races and broadcast. Nako, update kita dyan, isasama kita. Isasama kita, okay.
Sama ka sa karera, Lyndon. But I want to just touch on something that I think is very important now, which is how the pandemic has sort of affected everything that we do. For us, a lot of businesses have had a hard time during the pandemic. A lot of them have actually closed, and I think it's very important for us that even through this pandemic to push so that motorsports not only can reopen but can grow, because in the Philippines, the motorsport industry employs hundreds or thousands of people in terms of people that organize the races, the marshals, the mechanics, the different teams, not only the people that are supporting the drivers, the racetracks. And I think it's very important for us at this point in time to try to push to bring motorsports back para all of these people can go back to their normal lives para masuportahan namin sila lahat. Now, one of the things that really kept us busy during the pandemic, because we wanted to make sure that motorsports was still in the top of mind ng mga tao, was to move into what we call esports. And we've been doing virtual races for the last 2 years. We've been doing the GT Cup with Toyota, which is on a PlayStation platform. And we've also had our Formula V1 virtual races, which we run on a PC platform. Now, yung kagandahan nitong virtual races is yung mga mahihilig magkarera sa racetrack or yung mga aspiring racers, they can play from the safety of their own home with equipment that doesn't cost a lot of money. And over the last 2 years, we've been running races that have been accommodating hundreds of drivers. And the beauty of the activity that we did was ginawa namin siyang charity activity. So yung funds na na-raise namin through these races, we've been donating to different charities and frontliners over the last 2 years.
Ayan, which is a very great initiative, Sir JP, no? Ako as someone who's also part of the team, talagang exciting yung exciting, parang kahit virtual race siya, iba yung andun pa rin yung adrenaline rush eh. Diba? Especially when you're watching our virtual drivers. So, Lyndon, kailangan mo rin talagang ma-experience yun. Isasama talaga kita, Lyndon.
No, parang
okay.
Parang race with a purpose, di ba? Nakakatulong pa sa mga foundation. Kaya,
yes. Super true yan. Alright, so ngayon, moving forward, sir, for our next question is, what do you think is the highlight naman of your, mabalik lang tayo ulit sa inyong racing career. So, what do you think is the highlight of your racing career so far? But before you answer that, sir, we will have a short break. So when we return, we'll get to know more about Tuason Racing CEO and founder, Mr. JP Tuason.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
Chris masaya, pagsama-sama. Be updated sa news and happenings katribu. Hatid ng Daily Tribune sa inyo ang mga balitang napapanahon sa loob at labas ng bansa. Kami na ang bahala sa paghahatid sa inyo ng mga latest and reliable news. We got you covered sa programang Tribune News on Q. Mapapanood mula umaga hanggang gabi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes sa Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now on YouTube.
Kung yung naumpisahan ko, tapusin mo. Mga bagong highway, tulay, tren, dapat ma-enjoy na kaagad ng mga tao yan. Kailangan lahat bakunado at laging may ayuda pag kailangan. Huwag dapat magkabalik ang mga drug lords para ligtas ang pamilya. Yung ginawa mong malasakit centers, maganda yan. Padamihin mo pa. Magkasama tayo. Tayo ang nagsimula, tuloy-tuloy lang. Go.
Chris masaya, pagsama-sama.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
welcome back in the Athletes Tribune. Ayun pa nga, syempre kasama pa rin natin si Nikki, Viola, and ang guest natin tonight is si Sir JP Tuason. So ayun nga, babalikan natin yung mga naiiwang question ni Miss Nikki kay Sir JP. So Sir JP, ano nga pala yung highlights mo dun sa mga racing career mo so far?
Well, going back to my racing days, I think the the highlight came in the later years where I was actually able to move into Formula 3. So I did Asian Formula 3 from 2004 till about 2007. And dito talaga nakita ko yung difference ng professional driver and yung mga weekend warrior. If you really wanted to do well at this level, it was really a life commitment. You really had to treat it as a profession. Wala ka nang ibang ginagawa kung di nagpe-prepare para sa karera. And it was also at a level where the costs were so high na isang aksidente, so nagkaroon ako ng isang aksidente one time na damage yung kinakarera ko na F3 na kotse. And the total damages was over ₱1 million. And at that time, I was married. I had 3 kids, and sabi ng wife ko sa akin, I'll never forget it. Sabi niya, alam mo na-achieve mo na lahat ng gusto mong ma-achieve. Siguro pwede na tayo bumili ng bahay. So that became the sign for me to retire from yung pagkakarera ko. And for me to concentrate on building yung business namin, which is Tuason Racing. And we still stayed within the space of motorsports, but instead of racing cars myself, we started teaching really other people how to get involved in the sport, and created yung races for people to participate in. Now, I think it was good timing because of all of the experience I had sa karera, not only in the Philippines but abroad. Nakita ko kung paano talaga yung professional motorsports or professional races are organized, and that became the basis for us in putting together yung world-class races na ginagawa namin ngayon, which is the Toyota Vios Cup and the Formula V1 Challenge.
All right. So, sir, as we all know, Tuason Racing has been in the motorsports industry for like a long time. 22 years na po, di ba? Ayan, so I feel like you as the founder and CEO of Tuason Racing, parang, and with working with you, parang you work non-stop, sir. Di ba? Parang hindi na nagpapahinga ang trabaho sa industriya natin, especially when we're handling or organizing races. But I do want to ask, if you have pag nakakanakaw kayo ng free time, or what are the things that you do aside from, of course, leading Tuason Racing?
Great question. And honestly, after leaving motorsports, nagkaroon talaga ako ng parang low in my life. Nawala yung adrenaline rush sa buhay ko. And what happened was, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I moved into a different type of race. So, naging triathlete ako. So, I got involved in swimming, biking, and running. Just before the pandemic started, I moved from being a triathlete to being a runner. So I participated in a lot of not only local runs, but I did some marathons. I did the New York Marathon, and it was an amazing experience. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic and being stuck in the house, yung nangyari sa akin is in the last year and a half, I've just really been exercising at home, doing home gym activities. So para sa akin, I think being involved in something competitive will be important for me for the rest of my life. And also making sure that I take care of my health, because sa panahon ngayon, health is wealth, diba?
Yes, health is wealth talaga. Yun po yung pinaka-importante. And sir, upon sharing that, ngayon ko lang na-realize, kaya pala fit na fit kayo, sir.
Thank you.
Kaya pala looking young talaga kayo. Yun pala nagta-triathlete kayo. I didn't know that. Ayan. So, to all of our racing fans, and for sure sa mga nakakilala kay Sir JP na nanonood sa atin ngayon, alam na rin natin kung ano yung pinagkaabalahan niya after racing. Being active and being competitive is still in his blood. Ayan. So, ngayon naman, sir, I think medyo na-discuss na rin natin to kanina. How was the Tuason racing this during the pandemic and during the pre-pandemic? So, ano yung pinaka, let's say, parang naging major difference nung dalawang yun, yung dalawang factor na yun?
So I think yung during the pandemic na realize namin talaga that things will not go back to the way it was, no? Mm-hmm. And one of the important things that we learned during this pandemic is a lot of what we used to do can be done online. So right now we're doing an interview, which normally we would all have to be in a studio together, but now everybody's in their houses doing these interviews, and I think that has totally changed the way things work. So we're now embracing doing a lot of online work ourselves. So as we go into the, I guess, the new normal, which will be 2022, a lot of our activities that we used to do for the racing classes and also our road safety programs will now become a hybrid of being online and being in a physical space where you get to drive. So to give you an example, yung sa karera na ino-organize namin or the racing classes that we do, what we would do now is all of the theoretical training ginagawa namin on Zoom. So we have our classroom sessions on Zoom, and then nagkikita-kita lahat ng mga estudyante at the racetrack at a specific time schedule, no, after they do some antigen tests, and then they come and they drive at the track, and then as soon as they drive, alis na agad sila, and then we take on another batch. So we, instead of having 40 people come to the track and do a classroom session, we now do all of that online, and then we have small batches of 10 people at a time coming to the racing school. In terms of the actual races, again, all of the physical meetups, like the drivers' briefings, are now done online. The officials now do meetings online. And then people just go to the races and they stay in their garages in their little bubble after doing their antigen or PCR tests. They do the races, and after that, they leave na rin. So we're trying to limit yung interaction ng mga tao physically para we can keep it safe for everybody out there and continue running our motorsports in the Philippines. And finally, in terms of road safety, and this is sort of another part of what we do, on the weekends we race cars. On the weekdays we teach people road safety, and I think now more than ever, road safety is going to become more important because traffic is coming back. People are driving their cars. Yeah. They're going to work. They're going to the mall, and now they're trying to start up the schools. Lalabas na lahat ng mga tao. Importante maging safe sa kalye. So we've now transitioned to creating our road safety programs online din para ma-share namin sa lahat ng mga tao na paano maging safe sa kalye.
Alright, so I think napakaganda ng mga plans na yun. Lyndon, ako, mag-enroll ka. Sinama ko talaga si Lyndon.
Yeah, sure.
Mag-enroll ka.
Lyndon, if you, kung gusto matuto mag-drive, meron kami mga online seminars. I'm sure Nikki can give you the links, and then you can participate there.
Gusto ko, sir, ikaw magtuturo sa akin. Gusto ko si Sir JP magtuturo sa akin.
Ako magtuturo talaga sa'yo, basta mag-attend ka.
Sir. Ipa-follow kita sa Instagram mo, ha? Tapos doon tayo.
Sure, of course. No
so,
problem.
Ayun na, Sir JP, siyempre, di ba, alam naman natin na ano tayo ng pandemic, ang daming hatid sa atin ng pandemic, di ba? Yung iba na bago, yun nga sinasabi nyo kanina na yung mga training is more on online, di ba? Tapos, ang daming business, food industry, mga nagsara. Siyempre, sir, hindi tayo mag-stick doon at hanggang doon na lang tayo. For you, Sir JP, what are your future career plans para sa buhay mo and sa Tuason Racing?
Wow, that's a great question. So as we've been discussing, yung company namin has been around 22 years now, and we look forward to the next 22 years as we develop local motorsports para, again, we want to create that career path for yung up-and-coming drivers. So in terms of yung Formula V1 race series that we have, we are we're growing it from now what we have on the grid is about 15 to 18 cars on the grid. We want to double that in terms of the number of drivers. And to be able to do this, we need to develop more and more students that can go up through the ladder and into those races. So we're adding our esports to this program as a really grassroots level. Yung mga wala pang pambili ng kotse pero gusto matuto, they can start with our esports programs. Once you're ready to take that to the next level, you can come to the race schools, which hopefully next year will be more regular. And then from that point forward, it'll be jumping to the race cars, which we have either the Vios Cup or the Formula V1 race series. As we expand that over the years, our idea is to develop a local driver that can hopefully represent the country and maybe one day have our own Formula 1 driver.
Wow, ayan. So, great things ahead, of course, for Tuason Racing, sir. So, we are very excited to see that journey or to see those future plans materialize. So, ngayon naman, syempre, ang dami nating mga viewers ngayon na talagang aspiring drivers, aspiring race car drivers. So, what is your message to our viewers, to our fellow Katribu who wants to become a race car driver or wants to pursue a career in racing?
So para sa mga nanonood, first of all, thank you for watching, and yung advice ko sa inyo is kung talagang gusto niyo pumasok sa motorsports, the first thing I would say is get a proper education in terms of how to drive quickly on the track. And again, it doesn't cost a lot of money if you start at the level of esports. Whether it's PlayStation or it's PC-based, you can use the keyboard, you can use the controller, and we actually don't charge any entry fees for yung races na ino-organize namin. Yung hinihingi lang namin as entry fee is a donation to the charities that we support. And from there, you'll be able to start learning how to get involved in motorsport, how it works. We will start next year a esports academy where we're going to be teaching people how to get involved in esports at a very, very basic level. Again, costs are going to be very, very affordable, and we'll let you guys know about that launch. And if you guys are already driving and you want to learn how to be better drivers, both on the track and on the street, come to the race school that we organize. So Tuason Racing, follow us on Facebook, and we'll post all of our school schedules for next year. I apologize to all of those people that have been messaging us over the last 2 years. I know there's so many people messaging us. Kailan yung next class nyo? Gusto nyo na sumali? And because of the pandemic, we've only had a very, very limited number of classes this year. And to be honest with you, that sold out siya in 3 days. So for those of you that have been trying to get into the classes, I promise next year we'll run more classes, and I hope to see you guys at the racetrack.
Alright. So, narinig niyo yan, ladies and gentlemen, magkakaroon tayo ng esports academy or school next year, and also ongoing pa rin yung mga on-track racing classes natin. And road safety, do not forget yan. Syempre, before learning all of the tips and tricks about racing, it is important for all of us to be educated in road safety. So, meron po yan sa Tuason Racing. Again, you can follow us on our social media accounts at Tuason Racing. Alright, so, madami pa tayong tanong at kwentong gustong marinig from Sir JP Tuason mamaya. So, dyan lamang po kayo dahil magbabalik ang The Athletes Tribune after this break.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
Chris masaya, pagsama-sama. Mga impormasyong direktang makukuha mula sa sources at diretsahang usapan. Yan ang atid namin sa inyo sa programang Straight Talk. Samahan nyo kami sa makabuluhang talakayan live tuwing Martes alas 10 ng umaga sa official Facebook page ng Daily Tribune at Tribune Now on YouTube. Chris masaya, pagsama-sama.
Botomoto Halalan 2022, the Daily Tribune special coverage.
Muli, nagbabalik ang The Athletes Tribune. So, ayun na nga mga katribu, dadako naman tayo sa fun part ng eksena nitong segment natin. So, ayun nga Sir JP, meron kami ipapakita na mga photos, then i-describe mo lang or kung ano masasabi mo or kung may naalala ka ba sa mga picture na to. Ready ka na ba, sir?
Game, let's do it.
Okay.
Go! Ayan. Ano po itong picture na ito? Okay po ba ito, sir?
So this is my first year in F3. These are so a Formula 3 car is basically a mini F1 car, and
Mas maliit pa, sir?
Very little, no? Very
Okay.
very slightly smaller. This is the last step before you go to Formula 1. So yung mga F1 drivers dumadaan sa F3, and this was the first year for me to do Formula 3. This was probably in 2004, and yung karera na yan was in China. It was an eye opener because not only was it my first time to drive F3, it was also my first time at that track, which was a Formula 1 spec racetrack. So great times. I didn't win that race, but I learned a lot. So sabi nga nila you either win or you learn. So marami akong natutunan dun.
True. Alright. Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank you, sir.
sir, for that.
Okay.
So, I think mag-move forward na tayo with our next photo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yan.
Wow. So this is 2005, and this is what we call the Ford Lynx Cup. So this is one of our first ever race series na inorganize. The Ford Lynx Cup was working with our manufacturer partner at the time, Ford. And what we did was run a one-make race series. We had in that photo Egay Quesada, John Marcelo, and Pia Boren. And she was one of our first lady drivers that participated in our races. And again, it was the start of everything that we do now. That was our first one-make race. So what we were doing in 2005 led us to organizing the Vios Cup, which you guys now all see.
All right. Okay. So, ito na. What's this next
Okay.
photo, sir?
So this photo for us is very, very important because we ran in the early 2000s as well a program called the Champions of the Future. So this was a go-karting program that we ran for kids. The kids were anywhere from 7 to 12 years old. And it was really our program to develop the up-and-coming race car drivers. So a lot of those kids are now racing cars. So I see them at the racetrack, and they call me Tito all the time, and it drives me crazy. But from that photo that you guys just saw, one of the drivers is going to be running in Formula V1 this weekend. His name is Eduardo Cosateng. And so about 10 years ago, he was a 9-year-old boy that used to call me Tito. This weekend, he's going to be racing Formula cars, and next year he's going to be racing in British F3. So, you know, our dream of producing a Formula 1 driver for the Philippines may actually be a reality in a couple of years. And it's from all of these programs that we started 10, 15 years ago that we're now starting to see the kids coming through the motorsports ranks.
Alright. So, nakakatuwa naman yun, no? From, parang you've witnessed this racer's dream na nangangarap lang siya nung bata pa siya, and now he will be racing for this weekend's race. So it's parang nakikita talaga natin yung progress nila.
Oo, nagbubunga talaga yung efforts namin to train the up and coming young drivers many years ago.
Alright, so do you have more photos? Tama na, may picture pa ba tayo?
Saan po to, Miss Nikki?
Ayan, go.
Fourth na po.
Okay, so this was in the final year of Formula 3 that we drove, and at this time, not only did we run or participate in F3, but we also had a second car, so we had a teammate racing with us, and this is how we learned really how to turn our motorsports passion into a business. So, yung pangalawang kotse na pinapatakbo namin, we had what they call a paying driver. So, nagbabayad siya para mag-race sa amin. And what he was paying us actually helped pay my racing career as well at the time. So, all of the different things that we did over the years have been able to help us sort of build our business. And again, hopefully we can take it to the next step in the next couple of years as we leave this pandemic.
Okay. All right. So I think, Sir JP, we have our one last photo.
Yes, last na.
Ano kaya? Ayan. Ay, wow.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
What? Okay.
So,
what's this, sir? Okay. Para pick up. Ano to, diba?
It is a pickup. And in the early, I think this is 2011 or 2012. So we were working with Mazda at the time, and the boss of Mazda was a guy named Steven Tan. He's still a very good friend of ours now. And he said to us one day, you know, I've got this pickup, and we want to promote it. And he said, why don't you take it and build a drift truck? And drift truck, yeah, drifting truck. And at the time, we said, why not? So we took about 6 months, and we turned that truck into from a normal 4x4 pickup, we turned it into a drift machine. And to this day, it was the first drifting truck in the Philippines. It might have been the first drifting truck in the world. And we actually used it to compete in the national drift races. And in the amateur class, it actually won awards. So it was a very, very fun project. We learned a lot from that project, and I think that photo brought back a lot of fun memories for me. So thanks a lot, you guys.
Alright, so I feel like ngayon ko tuloy nakikita with Tuason Racing, anything's possible. Diba, from ngayon ko lang narinig yun. Like
we've done a lot of crazy things, Nikki. A lot of crazy things over the years. So
oh my God. Hopefully I get to see that as well, because it's really, really interesting. Pickup truck, tapos gagawin mong pang drift. So parang, paano kaya yun? I hope we will witness that soon also. Alright, so Sir JP Tuason, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story with us. But before we wrap this up, sir, anything you'd want to say to all of our fans who's watching right now, and kung ano ba yung maaasahan namin pa yung sa mga susunod events ng Tuason Racing?
Upcoming events, sir.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for watching. Again, we've got the second round of our Formula V1 Challenge 2021. It's going to be on December 15, and I hope you guys can tune in. It's going to be on our Facebook page and also the Facebook page of Phoenix. Now, we also have upcoming activities. We've got road safety programs that are going to be online. We've got our e-racing academy that's also coming up very soon. We've also got the racing classes coming up for 2022. And all of this information you guys can find on our Facebook page. So if you are interested in motorsports, you want to know what's going on, go to our Facebook page, like the page, follow us, and you'll see everything there. So for all of you guys that are driving on the roads today, please stay safe. Disinfect not only yourselves and the stuff that you bring home, but disinfect your cars. And again, try to stay safe out there by driving responsibly. So maraming salamat. Thanks everybody
for
watching. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Lyndon.
Thank you, Sir JP.
See you guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Sir JP.
So, ayun nga.
Alright, Lyndon?
So, ayun nga guys, nasabi na ni Sir JP yung mga events. So, dapat nilista nyo na yan para mapuntahan nyo sila. Muli, mga katribu, maraming salamat sa inyong pagtutok. Ako si Lyndon Mendoza, kasama si Nikki, Viola. Until the next episode of The Athletes Tribune.